Okay, I need you to sit down for this one because something is deeply wrong with Meghan Markle's story. And I'm not talking about the version she gave Oprah or the fairy tale she's been selling the world. I'm talking about the very foundation of who this woman says she is. Her name, her age, her timeline. And right now, one of the most feared writers on the planet has said the paperwork doesn't add up. Tom Bower, the man who has brought down business giants, exposed royal scandals, and survived every legal threat thrown at him, is sharpening his pen once more. And honey, Meghan's team is working around the clock to keep this quiet. Before we get into the bombshells, you need to understand who Tom Bower actually is. One of Britain's most respected deep dive biographers. Brutally researched books on Robert Maxwell, Mohammed Al-Fayed, Simon Cowell, and Prince Charles. His books don't trade in gossip. They run on documents, hundreds of confirmed source interviews, physical archive visits, years of careful research. In 2022, he put out Revenge. Meghan, Harry, and the war between the Windsors. And let me tell you, it was brutal. It painted Meghan as scheming, strategic, and willing to do whatever it took to climb to the top. Her legal team made noise, but Bower was never successfully sued over a single claim. Not one, because he had the proof. And now, in early 2026, his follow-up has landed. Betrayal, power, lies, and the fight for the future of the royal family. The couple has already fired back, calling it, and I am quoting directly here, crazy conspiracy and melodrama. When you have nothing to hide, you don't call a biographer crazy. You release the documents. You prove him wrong. Meghan and Harry have done neither. Here's what makes this different from every royal scandal before it. The proof. We are not talking about unnamed sources whispering at cocktail parties. We are talking about magazine records from 1997, college records, IMDb data, changed birth certificates, and a pattern of lies so detailed, so kept up across decades, that it forces a deeply uncomfortable question. If Meghan Markle lied about her age, not by a year, not by 2, but maybe by 6, 7, even 10 years, then what else in her carefully built public image is made up? The lying, based on his research, goes far beyond a single number on a birth certificate. But that's just what they wanted you to see. The real story starts right now. Let's start with what Bower calls the smoking gun. March 1997, 17 Magazine, page 90. A feature article that lists Meghan Markle as 21 years old. If Meghan was truly born on August 4th, 1981, the way she has always claimed, she would have been 15, maybe 16 in March 1997, not 21. That is not a typo. That is a 6-year gap sitting in a published magazine for nearly 30 years, waiting for someone careful enough to go find it. And Tom Bower went and found it. He went to the physical archive, confirmed the date it was published, and verified the article was genuine. Either 17 Magazine made a huge mistake about the age of a completely unknown teenager for no reason, or someone has been lying about their birth year for a very, very long time. And the magazine was only the beginning. Bower's team found that Meghan's IMDb page, the one casting directors across Hollywood use, originally listed her birth year as 1977, not 1981, 1977. IMDb entries are built from submitted work materials and industry records. For years, that page quietly told the industry one story, while Meghan told the public a completely different one. Then, it changed. The 1977 disappeared and was replaced with 1981. Bower has the screenshots. Okay, but here's the thing. In Hollywood, age decides which roles you get and which doors close on you. If you're over 30 and still unknown, casting directors push you toward mother roles, background work. You age out entirely. So if Meghan needed to stay relevant, she had every reason to quietly shave years off her biography. And based on Bower's research, that is exactly what she did. Beyond the magazine and the IMDb page, Bower turned to Northwestern University, Meghan's college, where she reportedly graduated in 2003 at the age of 22. Perfect timeline, right? Except Tom Bower tracked down Meghan's classmates. He looked through alumni lists and group photographs, and what he found should have ended the conversation right there. The vast majority of people in those photos, alongside Meghan, people in her friend group, her clubs, her classes, were born in the early 1970s, not the early 1980s. There's a now famous photo from Northwestern's Salsa Club. Meghan is in the back row, completely at home. Bower reached out to several people in that photo and asked one question: when were you born? Every single one said the same thing: early 1970s. So either a 20-year-old Meghan was hanging out with people 10 years older than herself for no clear reason, or she was actually their peer. And one former classmate, speaking without giving their name, said something that stopped everyone cold. We all knew Meghan was older than she claimed. It was kind of an open secret. Nobody cared at the time. They care now. This is where the story gets personal. Tom Bower went directly to Meghan's own family. He sat across from Thomas Markle, her father, who has given dozens of interviews about her childhood. Thomas Markle has talked openly about Meghan's first trip to the snow, described holding her as a newborn, shared photos and memories. An open book, so when Tom Bower asked him directly, "What year was Meghan born?" you would expect a quick, confident answer. Instead, Thomas Markle went quiet. He paused, and then he said, and these are his exact words, "You should check the records yourself. Not 1981, not August 4th. Just check the records yourself." Think about what that means. A father who cannot, or will not, confirm his own daughter's birth year. Either he truly does not remember, which is almost impossible to believe, or he knows the official story isn't true, and he's too scared to say it out loud. That pause is crushing. And Bower wasn't done with the family. He also talked to Samantha Markle, Meghan's half-sister, born in 1964. Based on Meghan's official biography, there's a 17-year age gap between them. They would have basically grown up in different generations. But Samantha told Bower the gap is much smaller than Meghan claims. She said they were closer in age growing up than people think. If Meghan was truly born in 1981, that memory makes no sense. But if Meghan was actually born in 1973 or 1975, that gap drops to 9, 10, maybe 11 years. Suddenly, Samantha's story of two sisters, close enough to actually play together, matches perfectly. The timeline Meghan has given the world does not match the childhood that the people who lived it remember. That is the blueprint of a made-up identity. Then Bower turned to Meghan's acting career. If Meghan was truly born in 1981, she would have been 25 on Deal or No Deal in 2006. Makes sense. But Bower dug deeper and found a pattern of struggle that reads far more like someone in their late 30s than their mid-20s. In Hollywood, if you're unknown and pushing past 30, the roles dry up fast. Meghan's career path, the grind through forgotten shows, a decade of being almost invisible before landing Suits in 2011, looks exactly like someone aging out of the system. If she was 30 when she got Suits, she was already on the older side for Rachel Zane. If she was actually 36 or 37, she should not have been up for that part at all, unless the age on her paperwork told a very different story. And based on Bower's findings, it did. Now we get to the moment Tom Bower says changed everything. When Archie was born in May 2019, his birth certificate listed the mother's name as Rachel Meghan Markle. Clean, legal, on the record. But weeks later, someone quietly changed the document. Meghan's first and middle names were removed entirely. The certificate now listed her simply as Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. No Rachel, no Meghan, no Markle, just a title. Palace insiders told Bower this kind of change was extremely rare. Several people inside the institution could not remember it ever happening before. Why would Meghan wipe her legal name from her own child's birth certificate? Bower's answer is clear. She is terrified of paper trails. If her full legal name shows up on official documents, those documents can be cross-checked against school records, old contracts, past filings, and if someone starts pulling on that thread, they might find a timeline that falls apart. She removed her name. She made herself harder to trace. That is not how someone with nothing to hide acts. Okay, now this is where it gets really serious. Bower took this to multiple legal experts. If Meghan gave false information about her age on official documents, marriage certificates, royal records, contracts with Netflix or Spotify, that doesn't just create a bad headline. Under British law, giving false information on a marriage document can be grounds for annulment, not divorce. Annulment. An annulment doesn't just end a marriage. It says in the eyes of the law that the marriage never truly existed. The children's titles become legally shaky. Every deal struck in their names becomes exposed. Every lawyer Bower spoke to said the same thing. If the false information can be proven, the legal danger is enormous. If Netflix signed deals based on a life story that was knowingly faked, those contracts could be thrown out. She could be sued. She could lose the money streams she's spent years building. That is exactly why the silence from Meghan's camp has been so total. This could wreck her financially and legally. When these findings went public, Meghan's people called the claims baseless. The word they reached for was deranged. Deranged conspiracy and melodrama. The problem is simple. He had proof. You cannot make that go away by calling someone deranged. Meghan did not do the one thing that would end this right now. She did not release her birth certificate. No press conference, no filmed response, no legal filing that disproves a single claim. Just the word deranged, and then silence. That silence, Tom Bower says, speaks louder than any document he found in any archive. If your timeline is clean, you prove it. The fact that she won't, or can't, tells you everything you need to know. Let's talk about where Meghan stands right now, because the timing couldn't be worse. The Netflix series has wrapped. The Spotify podcast is long gone. The money streams that once made the Sussex brand look like a booming empire have dried up one by one. Meghan has no real income anymore. Harry's in no better shape. The BetterUp deal has faded. Invictus is going through shakeups, with senior people stepping away. That golden stretch, the Oprah interview, the Netflix deal, the book money, the speaking fees, that entire money machine was built on one thing, the Sussex brand. And the Sussex brand was built on their version of the story, Harry, the wounded prince. Meghan, the do-good duchess. A love story powerful enough to walk away from a throne. But what happens when the basic facts of Meghan's life story start falling apart in public? When the woman at the center of it all can't produce a single document to confirm who she is? The answer is already playing out in real time. Meghan, in Bower's view, is a product of a system that rewards reinvention, that let a woman of real drive and smarts build a version of herself the world would find impossible to resist. But that system eventually runs into the truth. And when it does, the carefully built performance starts cracking in places no PR team can fix overnight. So, here is where we land. Tom Bower has laid out the proof. The 1997 magazine listing her at 21, the IMDb birth year that quietly changed, the Northwestern classmates born in the early 70s, the father who wouldn't confirm her birth year, the half-sister whose memories don't match a 17-year gap, the acting career that reads like someone aging out rather than breaking in, and a birth certificate change that removed her legal name from her own child's record. He hasn't told you exactly what year Meghan was born. He's done something more powerful. He's shown you, piece by piece, that the official story doesn't hold together, and that the people closest to her either can't or won't stand behind it. The truth stays locked behind a silence that grows louder every single day. And the question nobody in Meghan's circle can answer is the simplest one of all. If everything is exactly as she's always claimed, why won't she just show us? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because Bower has said there is more coming. And when that drops, you are going to want to be the first to know